By the end of this video, I want to explore how to transform your life using coaching philosophy. What exactly is the transformation, and what exactly are the 3 levels of coaching that we can apply during a coaching session and to your life? So let's start with what is coaching. Using coaching philosophy, we work on our life situation through the thoughts, through the feelings, through the belief systems that can actually limit our life situation. So an example of this can be cultural. For example, South Asians in the South Asian diaspora. So you'll see typical examples: perfectionism, anxiousness, certain types of control, and on top of this, really a resistance to understand internal mental processes and mental wellness. And of course, this can then lead to more perfectionism, anxiousness, and control. In coaching, it's really important to understand these limitations, especially if they are cultural, and by understanding it and then going deeper, it leads to self-empowerment, and that brings greater awareness into your life situation, and then how you can leverage your own personality and unique talents in service of your core values. Before we go deep into these 3 levels of coaching and exactly how that works and how the transformation occurs through the thought patterns and the beliefs and the feelings, if you're new to this space and if you're not too familiar with the space, especially if you're from a South Asian background, because these terms are not really talked about in detail, let's look at 3 different aspects: counselling, mentoring, coaching. What are these and how do these differ? So counselling, it's a really great space for a therapist to support you, to heal your past and work through trauma. If you're familiar with IFS, internal family systems, I've mentioned that in my Instagram, going back into that inner child, into the past, working through the trauma, it can bring you to a functioning level in the present. The second one is mentoring. Guidance from somebody who has that technical expertise, a person who's walked the walk, whether they be a technical mentor in a certain business field. And then the third part is what we're looking at today, and what I am training as a coach, a space to really create a new and ambitious future, working through limited beliefs, limited assumptions, and really how you can attain that dream, that vision, that purpose from your core values. And it's really that future-orientated, goal-orientated way to aim towards. So while it does go through that thought patterns, limited beliefs and assumptions that can be rooted into the past, it's not going on to that trauma that we talked about in counselling. So I hope that clarifies these 3 spaces. How do we begin to transform our life? Let's have a look at this iceberg model. So the iceberg model, we're looking at the top, at this conscious level, and when we're going around talking to other human beings, we'll see normal words, tones, behaviors, emotional responses, and this is conscious, the way we interact, and it's kind of like cars going around. But then when we go to the unconscious, it's like lifting the hood of the car and having a little tinker what's inside, and that's where we begin to get into the unconscious realm. What are the thoughts and feelings? Some of us might not question the thoughts or feelings that we are having or that others are having. Then assumptions, someone might assume something, we might assume something that causes certain thoughts and feelings that will then cause sort of tones and behaviors. So delving into that assumption part and then going deeper into the iceberg, into the deeper levels, the needs of a person, certain values, whether unconscious or conscious, and then the belief systems. So the belief systems in you that are unconscious, the belief systems in certain families or whole cultures. And it can be really good to explore these belief systems when we are looking for transformation. And when we are working at that deep level, what we find is when we're making the unconscious conscious, that will have an effect all the way up to our words, our tones, behaviors, and emotional responses at the top of the iceberg. So doing that deep work, not just intellectually, but also in the emotions, can really have an effect on how we achieve our goal and how we reframe our goals as well. So now let's talk about the 3 coaching levels. If you're familiar, with business and with pure coaching, level 1 is all about the pure performance, the doing. What am I doing? What is my specific goal? When can I do this by? We'll take 2 examples. One, running a marathon. Another example can be that South Asian diaspora. I want to be a specialist surgeon in my medicine studies. Having that pure performance in mind, having that doing in mind, looking at that top level of the iceberg. I would like to run my marathon by next year, but I'm not fit enough. How can I run my marathon? How can I just achieve my goal? Or if it's for that surgeon, right, for their medical studies, I would need specialist training, but I lack the motivation. How can I overcome that to do that specialist training? So it's really at that pure performance level, and that's what a lot of people see coaching as. So now let's go level further into level 2, and level 2 is all about that development and learning. Developmental coaching, right? How do we do the things? How do we improve the things in our life in service of that goal that we looked at in level 1? So if we're looking at that marathon runner, it'll be what are the nutritions? What are the muscle groups I should be working on for my training? And then for the surgeon, for the medical student, wanting to get that surgeon speciality, what are the factors affecting my lack of motivation? And so it's really going to that granularity level, seeing how we can start to change things to get to that goal. As a coach and coachee relationship in that marathon, we can explore, I can't stick to a regime or diet. I would need accountability and motivation extrinsically from the outside. And so how could you get that motivation? Maybe I could post on Instagram every day that I'm working out for my marathon. For the medical student, I could stick to a study regime and network with other surgeons. So it's really finding out and learning what can I do to now serve that goal. So that's at level 2, developmental learning. And then level 3 is really getting into that transformative, that way of being. And you'll notice it's getting slower now, it's getting more deeper, and it's really about why. The philosophy, right? Why is it important that you run the marathon? Why is it important that you run a surgeon? And this is the point that gets really interesting and a question. So as a coach, we're working with you, not against you, but still challenging and pushing to deeper levels. So now we're reframing the whole situation to a deeper value and gaining the clarity on the vision. So what does that look like technically? What happens if no one is watching you running that marathon? What happens if no one knew you were even running a marathon? And then that comes back to the coachee's thought pattern. Maybe I would not do that marathon because you're posting on Instagram for the validation of the training, remember, in level 2. I am running to show other people that I'm fit. So initially we wanted to be fit, and that would be through the marathon, which was the initial goal. They still want to be fit, so now we reframe the situation. How could you be fit, but how could that manifest in being happy? So I would be happier doing another sport. I might not have to going through all of these coaching techniques to then run a marathon. So that shows how the situation is now reframed. That marathon is not the ultimate goal, but it's now being fit or looking at a sport that you enjoy. And then for the surgeon, for the medical student, why is being a surgeon important? Why do you want to be a surgeon? What is it about being a surgeon that you enjoy? So then it's going to the deeper aspects. So at the conscious level, we think we know our goal and what we want to achieve, but it's not until we peel back the layers at the transformative level that we're really questioning the goal. And so what is the result of level 3? What is the result of transformation? And what does transformation mean? We're really unblocking any beliefs or assumptions that may hinder the goal or change the very nature of the goal itself. So it's kind of like running water. When we get to that deep goal or deep value that's in service of the goal, then we're unblocking things and the water stream can flow. And then that goes all the way to level 1 and level 2 again, and it changes ultimately the words and tones, behaviors, emotional responses at the conscious level and changes the goal itself. So that is how the coaching level works, and it can be very good in a dialogue conversation for someone to push you. Certain, again, going back to that diaspora example, the South Asian diaspora, going into certain cultural limiting beliefs can really then have an effect on different areas of your life. So next, let's look at the nature of 3 coaching questions that can disrupt or question certain thought patterns. So number 1, hypothetical questions. Hypothetical questions require a perspective shift out of your situation. So what does this mean? If you had achieved that goal, what does it look like? So instead of us being in a conversation where we're looking at achieving goal, we're now fleshing out a situation, putting you in that situation where you've already achieved the goal and seeing, okay, what does that look like? How have I achieved the goal? How did I even get here? What am I touching and feeling that has caused me to get this far, right? So that hypothetical question shifts your thought pattern in a certain way that allows a whole reframing and perspective shift. So that's how hypothetical questions can be powerful. The second type of question is explorative. Exploring into your thought patterns. And that's not something we do in normal conversations. Most people collude with each other, agree with each other, but as a coach, it's really pushing the boundaries and exploring that thought pattern and where it really came from, the essence of that thought. It's not really you, but it's a pattern that has arisen from somewhere. And so why is this important to you? What makes you think this? And that then goes to that deeper level when it's questioned. And then the third question, reflective. So this is reflecting back your body language, reflecting back your tone, and certain patterns of speech. Of course, normally this wouldn't happen in a normal conversation, but then as a coach and coachee relationship, seeing that your words are not aligning with your body language or patterns of speech can then identify that something deeper is misaligned. And so we'll bring this up and make a thought pattern conscious that was unconscious before. And now exploring that thought pattern, maybe indicating certain elements of emotions or belief linked to that thought pattern. Really exploring that belief system and emotions at level 3 can make that unconscious thought pattern conscious. And so these are the 3 questions, and at the end of a coaching session, we of course want a pragmatic result. So we want a goal that is specific. What really is that goal? A measurable goal. How do you know when you've achieved that goal? It must be achievable and realistic. Can I achieve that in my life? It's time bound. When can I achieve that by? It's exciting because we are delving into our unconscious, and what we're finding there past all the beliefs are really something that excites us, what's driven by our core values, and then makes us think differently in relation to the external world, but really have that clarity of thought that's aligned to our inner vision and our inner core values. And it has relevancy to our life situation, to our passions, to the relationships around us and what life situation we find ourselves in. And together you get that acronym, SMARTER. So I just want to share with you, now that we've been through this coaching philosophy, why I'm really doing this and my mission. My mission is to provide slow coaching. So to slow down for that inner wisdom, like we've seen many ancient cultures do in the past. Connect to yourself where the deep alignment of core values are recognized. So if you're familiar with IFS or other philosophies, there's this inner self or no self, and it's slowing down from the external noise and also the internal noise and knowing what are these core values and recognizing them. And then the second part, go far. For you to create your own vision based on these values, to create your own strategy, and to create your own steps through the levels that we've seen. How can you really achieve your own unique potential, whether it be in a big goal, whether it be a career transition, or whether it be navigating a relationship or a certain cultural belief system that you're navigating in your life. So if you're South Asian or from the South Asian diaspora, and there are certain cultural beliefs or limiting beliefs you'd like to work through, I'm offering free one-to-one coaching while I'm in training. You can DM me on Instagram. I'll also leave a link below. You can book on my calendar directly. But I hope that was useful, everybody. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out, and I will see you on the next video. Bye everyone.